She won $1.3 million and decided the best thing to do was hide every single dollar from the man she had been married to for 25 years. But what Denise Rossi didn't know was that one misaddressed letter was about to blow up her entire plan, and a judge was going to make sure she paid for it in the most brutal way possible. The ordinary life. Denise Rossi was a regular woman from Los Angeles, California. She worked a regular job, lived in a regular house, and had been married to a man named Thomas Rossi for 25 years. 25 years! That's longer than most people stay in the same city. By all appearances, they were just another middle-class couple doing what millions of couples do: paying bills, going to work, getting through the week. Thomas was a quiet, ordinary guy. Nothing about their life together screamed drama. No headlines, no scandals. Just two people who had built a life side by side for a quarter of a century. But somewhere along the way, something shifted for Denise. And when the opportunity came, she didn't just walk away from her marriage, she made sure Thomas would never see a single dollar of what was coming. What she didn't count on was that secrets have a way of finding the light. The winning ticket. On December 28, 1996, Denise Rossi's life changed forever. She was part of an office lottery pool at a clothing design firm in California, a group of 5 co-workers who had been pooling their money together to buy tickets. That day, their numbers came in. The group won a $6.6 million California lottery jackpot. Denise's share came out to $1.3 million, structured as 20 annual payments of $66,800 each. Now, most people in that situation would go home, hug their spouse, and celebrate. Maybe cry a little. Maybe call their parents. That's what most people would do after 25 years of marriage. Denise did the opposite. Just 11 days after winning, 11 days, she filed for divorce. Not 11 weeks, not 11 months, 11 days. She didn't tell Thomas about the money. She didn't mention the lottery. She didn't say a word. But she didn't just stay quiet. She went further. There's one detail that makes this even harder to believe. Denise had actually stopped contributing to the office lottery pool about 3 weeks before the winning draw, around December 1st. That means she had already walked away from the pool, and then somehow ended up sharing in the jackpot anyway. That detail would later destroy her legal defense completely, and she knew it. So she built a cover story. She contacted the California Lottery Commission directly and asked them to keep her win confidential. She redirected all her annual lottery checks to her mother's address in Northern California, so Thomas would never see them arrive. And when the divorce paperwork required her to disclose all assets, as California law requires, she left the winnings completely off the forms. She even claimed the money was a gift from co-workers, not a lottery prize, to make it look like separate property that Thomas had no legal right to. For about 2 years, it worked. The divorce was finalized. Thomas had no idea. Denise was collecting her annual checks quietly, living her new life, and Thomas was left behind, struggling financially, confused, and completely in the dark. But then came the letter, the silence. For roughly 2 years, Denise lived exactly the life she had planned. She had walked away from a 25-year marriage with $1.3 million that her ex-husband knew nothing about. She was free. She had money coming in every year. She had a fresh start. Think about what $1.3 million in annual payments meant in 1997. That was serious, reliable income. $66,800 arriving every single year for 20 years. Enough to cover a mortgage, enough to travel, enough to build an entirely new chapter of her life without ever looking back. And that's exactly what she was doing. She had set up a system, checks going to her mother's address in Northern California, the Lottery Commission sworn to silence, the divorce papers scrubbed clean of any mention of the winnings. From the outside, it looked airtight. Thomas, meanwhile, was struggling. He had no idea why his wife of 25 years had suddenly filed for divorce just days into the new year. He had no idea there was $1.3 million sitting somewhere with his name legally attached to half of it. He was just a man trying to make sense of a marriage that had collapsed without warning. But while Denise was enjoying her secret fortune, she made one move that would unravel everything. At some point, she began exploring the option of converting her annual payments into a single lump sum payout, a service some financial companies offer to lottery winners who don't want to wait decades to collect. She contacted one of those companies. That company sent her a letter about the offer to the wrong address. It ended up at Thomas's home. He opened it, and in that moment, 2 years of carefully constructed lies collapsed in an instant. Now most people would think, okay, she got caught. She'll have to split the money. Half for her, half for Thomas. That sounds fair, right? But what the judge decided to do was something nobody in that courtroom saw coming. The courtroom. The moment Thomas read that letter, he knew exactly what had happened. His ex-wife had won $1.3 million, hidden it from him during their divorce, and had been collecting annual payments for 2 years while he had no idea. He went straight to court. His legal team argued that Denise had violated California Family Code Section 1101, the law that requires both spouses to fully disclose all assets during divorce proceedings. This wasn't a technicality. This was a deliberate, calculated act of fraud. She had contacted the Lottery Commission to suppress the information. She had rerouted her checks to a different state. She had lied on official legal documents, and her own defense that the money was a gift from co-workers fell apart the moment anyone looked at the timeline. She had left the pool 3 weeks before winning the draw. You don't get to claim a gift from a pool you had already walked away from. Denise's legal team tried everything. They argued the money was separate property. They argued Thomas had his own financial issues he hadn't disclosed. They argued he had behaved badly during the marriage. They called the potential ruling disproportionate and deeply unfair. Judge Richard Denner wasn't buying any of it. On November 15, 1999, he ruled that Denise had acted with fraud and malice in concealing community property. And under California Family Code Section 1101H, when a spouse deliberately hides community property with that level of intent, the penalty isn't just losing your half. The penalty is losing everything. The fall. Judge Denner ordered Denise Rossi to hand over her entire $1.3 million lottery winnings to Thomas. Not half, not a portion. Every single dollar. All 20 annual payments of $66,800 now belonging entirely to the man she had tried to leave behind. The woman who had spent 2 years carefully hiding her fortune, redirecting her checks across state lines, and lying on legal documents walked out of that courtroom with nothing. Zero. The $1.3 million she had won on December 28, 1996, the money she had built her entire escape plan around, now belonged completely to Thomas Rossi. But Denise wasn't done fighting. She appealed the decision, taking the case all the way to the California Court of Appeal. Her legal team raised the same arguments again: the gift defense, the unclean hands defense, the claim that the punishment was excessive. In 2001, the Court of Appeal upheld every single part of Judge Denner's ruling. The appeals court confirmed that Denise had intentionally concealed community property. It confirmed that her explanations were not credible. And it confirmed that under California Family Code Section 1101H, awarding Thomas 100% of the asset was not only appropriate, it was required. The case, officially titled In Re Marriage of Rossi, became one of the most cited divorce law cases in California history. Law schools teach it. Family law attorneys reference it in consultations to this day. It became the definitive example of what happens when you try to cheat the system during a divorce. Think about the math for a second. Denise won $1.3 million. She spent years of her life fighting a case across 2 courts. She paid attorneys for a trial and a full appeal. And at the end of it all, she had less than nothing. Thomas, the man she had tried to leave without a dollar, walked away with the entire jackpot. Her own attorney, after the original ruling, admitted that had Denise simply disclosed the winnings during the divorce, she likely would have kept half, around $650,000. Instead, by trying to keep everything, she ended up with nothing. But here's the part of this story that most people never stop to think about. The whole plan, the secret address, the lottery commission call, the falsified documents, it all started just 11 days after she won. So the real question is, did the money end the marriage, or was the marriage already over and the money just gave her a way out she thought was clean? The verdict of time. The courts never answered that question. What they did establish, clearly and permanently, is that Denise Rossi made a calculated decision to deceive. She didn't just forget to mention the winnings. She actively worked to suppress the information across multiple steps, over multiple months. That's not an oversight, that's a plan. And the plan failed completely. Today, in Marriage of Rossi stands as a landmark in California family law. It's the reason divorce attorneys across the state now specifically warn every client who walks through their door. California is a community property state. Any asset acquired during the marriage, including a lottery win, belongs to both spouses. Hiding it doesn't cost you half, it can cost you everything. Thomas Rossi, the man who had no idea his wife had won $1.3 million, who found out only because of a letter sent to the wrong address, walked away with the full amount. Not because he fought dirty, not because he had a better strategy, but because the law, when applied correctly, has a way of correcting the record. Denise Rossi lost the money. She lost the appeal. She lost the case that now carries her name in law textbooks across the country. And she lost it all because of decisions made in the 11 days after December 28, 1996. Some people win the lottery and change their lives forever. Denise Rossi won the lottery and changed her life forever too, just not in the way she planned. If you thought this story was wild, wait until you see what happened to the lottery winners who lost everything in ways even more shocking than this. Check out our next video. You won't believe how fast a fortune can disappear.